I just got out of the theater for My Hero Academia Heroes Rising, and oh my god, did my brain just explode out of my head at that final fight scene. This movie, animation-wise, particularly like the last 20 to 30 minutes of the movie, are just so mind-blowing animation-wise. The last comparable thing I saw to it was Dragon Ball Super Broly. Not very often you get to see these animations that are so far beyond like anything that's ever been done. And they really killed it here, especially Yutaka Nakamura comes back and delivers just the most brain-melting animation I think I've ever seen. I mean, like words can't even, my jaw was just on the ground the entire time I'm watching this go down. If you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend it. I saw it in sub because I always prefer subs over dubs, but you know, whatever floats your boat, go see it that way. In a lot of ways, this movie, as well as the first My Hero Academia movie, just felt like a very long episode until that final fight scene when Yutaka Nakamura takes over and the animation just explodes and the colors and the effects and everything are just completely out of control. Similar in that aspect to the first movie, we had that here again. The plot in this movie is very, very basic. There's this new villain, he pops out, he's from the League of Villains, and basically without spoiling anything, he needs this boy, and it's up to the heroes to stand together to stop him. I really like the design for this new villain. His name is Nine. He looks really, really cool. Just the overall aesthetic of him is nice. I love the character model, but there's not really too much backstory or depth to his character. Pretty similar to the first villain from the first My Hero Academia movie. And in a similar sense that the pros were pretty much incapacitated until the end of the first movie, in this movie, conveniently, all of the UA students are sent to this island where there's no pro heroes, and they basically have to fight off these super powerful villains by themselves without the cushion of the pro heroes. It's just like, it's like uber convenient that in the beginning of the movie, they're like, okay, we're gonna send you to this island specifically with no heroes, and then this island specifically gets attacked by 4 of like the most powerful villains they've ever faced. But who cares? You know, like honestly, you're watching this for what it is. You gotta enjoy it for what it is. And that's a shonen. It's centered around a bunch of high school students. There's a lot of great action. There's a lot of emotion. It's a very easy, simplistic story to understand. You can pretty much just go in, sit down, turn your brain off, and just enjoy it. And that's why I don't want to be like super critical for this review, because I just enjoyed it for what it was. Director Kenji Nagasaki comes back again for the second movie, and I mean, they kill it. The storyboarding is great. The build-up in the beginning, there's a plot that's pointed out almost immediately. Then we get a little bit of a slow start, some comedy, and just some fun little tropes with the characters, and then the action builds up towards the second half of the movie. And it was nice because we got to see a lot of the other UA students come in and do things. Because there's no pro heroes here on this island, all of the UA students were involved and they were all fighting together. And as we've seen from the most recent seasons of My Hero Academia, all the students are pretty much powering up and developing their abilities, and we got to see them use those in these big battles. Todoroki, however, being one of my favorite, he really didn't do that much in this. Like, I feel like he's easily the most powerful of the heroes besides Deku. I mean, obviously Bakugo comes close, but like Todoroki's powers are just so OP, and he was still good in this movie, but like I feel like they really diluted him. Like the power that kid has, he could just blast everyone away. Now, from my understanding, this movie actually takes place a little bit after where the anime is right now. So if you haven't read the manga, there might be some little tidbits of things in there that might leave you confused, but they definitely made the movie in the way that even if you're just watching the anime and you're not all the way caught up with the manga, you're still going to be able to understand everything that's going on. You still got Bakugo being hilarious. You got Deku being Mr. Nice Guy. You got the relationship between the two of them, and you know, all the other trainees from UA. And it's pretty much just exactly what you'd expect from a My Hero Academia movie. Studio Bones does it yet again. Honestly, they say when you're really good at something, you make it look easy. And Studio Bones just, I don't know how they're able to consistently make so much good animation. My Hero Academia is probably one of the most consistently well-drawn, well-animated, well-everything put together anime on the market, next to Demon Slayer. I mean, both of those, Ufotable's amazing too, but both of these anime, the studios are just insane, man. I mean, I don't know what the working conditions are for them to consistently put out so much good animation all the time. I mean, they must have some incredibly talented people working at these studios. I'm sure they're putting in ridiculous hours and everything. And it's fully understandable why these two studios are basically running the top two anime right now. Demon Slayer and My Hero, because the animation, the music, the sound design, the directing, the art design, everything about it is like basically flawless. And it's just, it's really, really incredible, especially the last 20, 30 minutes. I mean, it's not all just fighting in the last 20, 30 minutes. You get some action in the beginning, some action like a little bit around the middle, and then that leads into this like major big fight in the final arc of the movie. The final fight is, I just can't say it enough, man. I just can't stop thinking about it. Now, there was one part where it's kind of questionable, but I like that they did this. So in the climax of the final fight, this is where Yutaka Nakamura takes over. Arguably, I think he's the best animator in the entire world. The guy just keeps breaking the limits of traditional 2D animation every time he makes something. And in this, I think they knew that. I think they knew, look, this animation right here is so good that we don't even want sound. Like, we just want you to open your eyes and like drink this animation with your eyes. So there's no sound really for the entire Nakamura cut at the end. They do have like soft music playing in the background. It was a very interesting choice. I really would have loved to see how that scene would have went with sound effects, but also because it's like 45 seconds long of 24 frames a second, maybe it was just too much going on. Maybe they tried to do it with sound because there's like lightning and speed and dashing and rocks exploding and tornadoes and all this crazy stuff, man, going on like so fast, and impact frames and this and that. And it's like, maybe if they tried to do sound design for all of that so fast, it would have just been a clump of sounds and maybe just hard for your brain to digest. Maybe it would have just kind of ruined it. I'm sure they tested that, and maybe they just came to the consensus that like, look, there's too much going on here. Let's just play the music. Let's mute the sounds and just have people enjoy the animation, which was a very interesting choice. But I mean, I think it worked. In Japan, they usually nail it with like turning off sounds or music to get the audience hyper invested in a particular scene that they're showing you. And I know that some of the American studios that have dubbed over anime have just put like music in the entire episode once they get it licensed, once they get the content over from Japan, because they don't think that people have the attention spans to sit there and watch with there being like no sound or no music. But most of like the really super dramatic scenes in anime that we see, they experiment with things like no sound or no music to get you to focus on one particular sense, whether that's the animation or whatever. Now, without spoiling anything, something happens between Bakugo and Deku in the end, and I was really like what? Really? And then they kind of just like flipped it at the end. That was like a little bit of a questionable thing. It turned out, to All Might's words, it just happened to be a miracle. So that was a little bit of an ass pull, and you guys will know what I'm talking about when you see it. But again, you know, I just appreciated this movie for what it was, which was just a highly entertaining piece of animation. My Hero Academia movies, they don't seem like Dragon Ball Super Broly, for example, and like the One Piece movies. You can tell, especially with Toei, they really go all out when it comes to the movies. But Studio Bones, until it's those major action scenes, they seem to really just like make it feel like a regular episode. There's no extraordinary amount of extra in-between frames so that the 2D animation feels ridiculously smooth. You'll see that a lot in other studios, so that when the difference between a regular episode and a movie is like incredibly jarring of that anime. But with My Hero, pretty much just seems like a super long episode, and then we get into that like major ending scene, man, that major final blow scene, and just the everything explodes, like off the charts animation stuff that people are going to be talking about for decades. Like, it's that good. Now, I guess you could argue that some of it, you may have lost some animation, because like in Dragon Ball Super Broly, a lot of times with like Gogeta fighting Broly, like they're moving around so fast that since it's all on ones, which means 24 pictures a second, you lose a lot of those great art shots and images because it's just like too fast for your brain to even process. And they kind of did some of that here, but they also, especially Nakamura's cut, experimented with like so many different animation techniques, like things with Deku that he was doing with the impact frames and his eyes and all this stuff was just crazy, man. And I mean, I think everybody who was watching it was just on the edge of their seat, eyes peeled, jaw on the ground, completely mesmerizing. But I think the whole movie as a whole was just very solid, and you should go see it. And that's my thoughts on the movie. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you soon for another video. Awarida!